Hey, good evening, guys. It's Goose here. It's Sunday evening, football night, and I'm on the voice with you guys for Monday's watch list for the 24th of September. Hope you all had a wonderful weekend. I did. A lot of family stuff, and ready to have an active week this week. So I just want to start everything off as always with my disclaimer here. Just want to let you guys know, make sure you read the disclaimer above. Everything I'm doing is for informational purposes. My watch lists every day or however often I'm doing it. It's not a buy, sell, or any type of recommendations, just things that I'm looking at and a lot of if this, then that type of scenarios for me. I obviously do it a night before, so everything changes on the morning of, depending on what they're doing pre-market, as well as adding a couple names. But I want to put a list of some names that I am looking at. It is the weekend, so a lot of my times my lists are a little bit longer, so I'm going to try to get through this, but it'll be a little bit longer than usual, maybe 10 minutes or so. But I'll give you what my thoughts are on the following names. So let me just jump right into it. Hopefully you guys have checked us out over at stocktraders.net as well. Make sure you hit any of the mods up, myself, Titus, who's amazing, Ricky, or Monaco for any questions about things that we're covering or any other things within our site. That's over at stocktraders.net. So let me just get right into this, and I'm going to talk about, first of all, IGC. Pretty simple plan what I have on IGC, and it's just based on the following action from Friday. Obviously, TLRY came in a lot. IGC had a big pop up in the morning, up in towards that $4 range, and I kind of missed it. But I'll tell you, if it does give it a second chance, you can see it made an initial push here. This is the 5-minute you're looking at. Then it pulled back, tried it again, and with all the volume, there's nothing. And this is one of the things I love is when I see a stock close on lows, immediately I'm thinking fade, fade, fade. Obviously, you can see by the wick here on the daily, how much it gave back. I didn't catch the fade on the second top, but I will look again. I posted my thing anywhere from 375, which you could kind of see is in this area right here, this little resistance area. It hit a couple times up until 4, but I might even start up into this 350, which is all this consolidation area right here. So we'll see what happens in the morning on IGC and see what the cannabis names are doing. I'm going to jump right next into SCS. Hang on one second. So what I'm looking at is a couple things. I'm looking. They really came out with some really beautiful numbers. You can see it actually closed pretty decent. A little bit off highs, but it closed pretty decent. And there's a couple areas of interest that I have. First is going to be off that 1830 area. I put 18 as well, just because it's the whole number. But you could see how it kind of held after the initial gap. Pulled back, kind of tried it a couple times, just kind of grinded up the rest of the day. So what I'm looking at is first is that 18 to 1830 area for a potential long on an early washout or something. And then the next level I'm going to look at is between 1740, which is that 60 to 50% retrace off the highs from Friday, sorry. So I'm just looking straight long on that one, not looking for a fade. I think the numbers were pretty impressive, and we'll see what happens Monday if it carries over with some volume, and hopefully we get a little imbalance and a little selling early in the morning to take advantage of to join in on along. GTXI is a real easy one for me. This is one that it was an FDA thing. It just got blasted. I mean, I think it was down 20 bucks or whatever. This is as simple as it gets. I'm just looking for a dead cat bounce type play off this. The low on the day was down at, let me just double check it to give you the right number on it. It was 166. I'm not looking for this thing. It tried, and it was just heavy all day. Let me pull up the 5-minute here for it. But you could see, I mean, any kind of try and 10 or 15 cent pushes on this thing just were met with more selling. So if it wants to make new lows, I don't have an interest on it at all. I'm not going to try to guess the bottom, but if it holds prior day's lows, which is that 166, I might take a turn on it for maybe a little push up into that 250 or better. So I just want to keep it on the radar and not be naive to forget about it and then wonder why I didn't look at it again. So NBEV is going to be a little bit more complicated. Let me pull up NBEV here, and there's a couple things that I'm looking at, and they're all out of range. But I want to make you understand that there's a very high probability I'll trade NBEV depending on what the pre-market is tomorrow and what's going on, especially with the some of the cannabis names. But I just want to show you a couple more solid areas of interest for myself, even though they're a little bit out of range. First is going to be into that 750 area. You could see yesterday how it kind of topped out here a couple times early on. Right in this area, 750, later in the day 750, and then even a little bit lower 7, which is also a weekly pivot. So for some reason it wants to make a little gap up in the morning and starts hitting that 750. That's going to be a potential area for a long play. Keep in mind, I don't want to get caught in a squeeze, so if it happens pre-market, I'm not so sure I'd put on a position pre-market in it just because it has been squeezing folks. But If at the open it pushes that level, I'll definitely be looking for potentially a starter position somewhere in there. The next spot that I'm going to look at is on the long side. I know it's a little crazy, but I've played these a lot, and this is this was $10. It is coming in, and I will watch it down in this 480 area, which is a 60%. And then also you could see if I drag this chart back a little bit more, you'll see that $4 area was a prior resistance area. So right in here, as you can see on the daily. So those are two areas that I'm gonna look at for a potential bounce play off this. It's way away, I get it, but you never know what happens when I open it up tomorrow. It could be gapping down $1.50, $2, and then it's right in my range. So NBEV, I'll definitely be watching. Looking at the fade, I think I'm a little bit more short bias on it. As you can see, it closed off lows. So any type of push into this area here, 7 to 750, that's my main bias on it, but I'm going to keep an open mind, and if it washes, I will look for a potential long play on it, NBEV that is. Let me jump over to ACAD, a couple things on ACAD. And you could see it actually touch the, or it's approaching that 200 day right there. That orange line is a 200 day. It hit a high at 2046, so it hasn't hit it yet, but it's kind of coming up on that line. Had this huge push the day prior. I think we actually played it in the room. But anyway, looking at for the two sides, the first thing is going to be a potential fade. It actually closed okay. You can see it kind of tested prior close, tested, and then eventually it kind of broke through and just kind of grinded higher. So I want to be smart about this. If it just wants to continue to push through 21 or 2110, there's nothing to force on this. It's been strong the last couple days. I want to say that even the day before it closed on highs. Let me just double check. Yeah, it pretty much closed on highs, right? 8 cents off highs the day before. So, I don't need to jump the gun on this. There is room on this name. It's had a couple big moves, but with the gap that it's made over the last couple days from $15 or so, I am looking for a potential fade in the 200 days right there. So that's one area. The second area is going to be off a healthy retrace, and you can see two areas. First of all, it's going to be off the 18, which is 40%. And then the next area is a beautiful one for me. That's a 50% retrace, is right on the monthly pivot there. So let's watch that 1735 area for a potential retrace play on ACAD. So those are the couple things that I'm looking with that. Let me switch to VKTX now. Hopefully I'm not going too fast, guys. Just trying to get a bunch of names in here. This is actually a really interesting one. I want you guys to take a peek. You know that they did raise at 1850 recently. I really feel if this wants to break Friday's lows, this has some room for some more retrace. Just because they did the financing doesn't mean it's going to stay up at 18. You could see by these wicks, and every one of them was a lower high. To me, it's getting a little bit antsy for those longs, and if it wants to break that, I think that it could speed up a little bit and start heading towards this 1550, which is a monthly pivot, or even 16 area. So I think there's some room from the fade. I'll be watching the 1780 area for a fade, potentially trading off tomorrow, which is Monday's highs, depending if it opens up and just kind of sits around for a little bit. I might take a starter position right off the highs. And then if it wants to hold, that is a decent retrace play that I usually look at, right between, I usually put a starter on around 50%, or sometimes a little bit between, depending on what the technicals are showing me. So just knowing that this is kind of an area that had a low a while ago when it first gapped up, I'll keep an eye on this area here, and if it wants to hold and clear a level and clear a VWAP, and it wants to stay above VWAP, I'll try to join a long trend for a little bit of a retrace play off that 45% area or whatever it ends up being. So I'm looking at it for a potential long as well. IQ is another one to hit my daily. It's really, to me, pretty interesting. Symbol IQ. And this is another one that's pretty crazy to me. It's very similar to one we just talked about, with look at the chart on this in this support area at 26. To me, this is a real clear one. It's either going to hold it and get a little turn the same way, play it off the VWAP, above the VWAP, I'll take the long. But if it wants to crack 26, I think this has a pretty good move and good odds that this thing's going to find its way back down into that pivot, that monthly pivot, which is 2450. You could also see some recent support in that area, a few weeks back or a couple months back. So IQ, I'm kind of short bias on it because I feel like it's going to break this thing the way it closed on lows, as you could see. So I definitely thinking short and starting a short, but I would like to see it break through 26, and I think it could have a nice $1.50 move or so in that. I'm not sure I'm going to really look for the for a long, trying to guess it off here, because I feel like it'll be pretty much broken and probably heading lower. So I'm not sure I'm going to grab a long off it, but I definitely will be watching that IQ through 26. The only thing, again, going back just to talk about the long side, if it holds 26 and stays above VWAP, I don't mind playing along and letting it see if it wants to reclaim and push back up on the 20-day. What I'm saying is guessing it off the 2450 as far as long, just to clarify that. So that's just that's IQ. Lastly, what I want to talk about is NIO. Oh, NIO. So NIO, just so you know, I'm looking at you can see the chart. It's actually kind of had that big, huge move, kind of retraced, recent IPO, and it's kind of held this 840 area a couple times. And there's something telling me that, if it wants to make a higher low tomorrow and start grinding up, and maybe we get a push on that 950 or 10. So I just want to be around for that. I have a note in there that, if it holds that 840 area, I'm going to probably take a long off that 840 area, looking for a push on 950 to 10. So NIO is definitely on my radar for tomorrow as well. Guys, there's a lot of names out there. I mean, obviously I'm not ignoring AWSM, ASTC, some of these low float names, they're definitely going to be on my radar. I'm probably going to look at possibly trading them as long as they're my A setups and I like what they're doing. Listen, I can only put so many on here. Sorry, there's a little extra on the weekends, but that's what I do for the weekend videos, just try to cover a little bit more. Guys, do your own homework. I'm just trying to throw some things at you. Obviously, there's a lot out there, guys. And just, protect your capital during these markets. Remember, consistency is everything. Please come check us out over at stocktraders.net. Hopefully you guys like what I'm doing. If you do, click on the like button. If you have any questions, shoot them over to me. I will answer them. I've been getting some messages in the room. You guys could just join the free trading floor, message me. Obviously, all this you can view from the free trading floor. So we have a lot of stuff going on over there. So come check us out. Hopefully you guys like what we're doing. Thanks a lot, guys. Hope you had a great weekend. Hope your football teams did all right today. And let's get back at it tomorrow and have a great start to the week. Thanks a lot, guys.